Okay, I definitely did not see this one coming. So Star Wars just dropped the trailer for the Tales of the Empire, which is essentially the follow-up from the Tales of the Jedi, but this time focusing on the villains. So without waiting any further, let's get straight into the breakdown.
Why do you seek imperial favor?
Years ago, my people were all but destroyed. My anger gives me strength. It is that strength I offer the Empire.
Offer accepted.
We begin the trailer with Thrawn speaking to Morgan Elsbeth, with Thrawn asking her why she seeks imperial favor, which effectively clues us in on her backstory, promising to explain to us why she's so loyal to Thrawn in the live-action Ahsoka show. Morgan Elsbeth recalls the separatist genocide of her people on Dathormir, referencing Grievous's invasion of the planet, something which we saw in the Clone Wars, where in an attempt to snuff out potential competition, Sidious and Dooku decide to wipe out the nightsisters due to their growing power. This was arguably one of the most interesting plots of the show, where we really got to see nightsister magic at play. So it is clear in this case, Morgan Elsbeth's backstory was shaped by this event, perhaps leading her to believe that in order for her to protect her people, she needs the strength of the Empire to secure their place, which is rather ironic considering that Sidious was the one who organized their genocide. We can also tell by Thrawn's uniform that at this point in time he is only an admiral, not quite the Grand Admiral that we will later see in the Rebel storyline. And it is perhaps Morgan Elsbeth's determination to save her people by using the Empire that makes Thrawn interested, as he too is using the Empire to protect his own people. As laid out in the Thrawn novels, Thrawn is only really working for the Empire in hopes of using its vast resources to combat the Grysk, a foreign threat to the Chiss. So there are certainly parallels to be drawn here.
I'm here to present you with an opportunity, Barriss.
Just be glad you're not a Jedi anymore.
We then cut to a different scene further back in time, where we see an Inquisitor flanked by two Coruscant guards walking into a cell. This is the fourth sister, who we did see in the live-action Kenobi show. The fate of the fourth sister is ultimately unknown, but we do know that at some point her armor does end up in the hands of Rebel Commander Lina Graf, who used it to infiltrate Vader's castle on Mustafar. It is also worth noting that the Inquisitor is not yet wearing the Inquisitor's outfit that we know today, indicating that this must have occurred very early on as the Republic transitioned into the Empire. It turns out that the opportunity is being presented to Barriss Offee, the fallen Jedi Padawan of Luminara Unduli, who tried to frame Ahsoka for the attacks on the Jedi Temple. As Barriss is freed, we see her being escorted by clones in these black armor, an early iteration of the Purge Trooper armor that we see the Inquisitorius use later on. What's also interesting is that the clone says,
Be glad you're not a Jedi anymore.
which indicates that by this point, the effects of the inhibitor chip have lightly faded away or have weakened by this point. Because as we know, when the inhibitor chip is fully functional, clones often can't distinguish between who is a Jedi and who is not, which was demonstrated when a Jedi used the Force to reactivate their inhibitor chips to turn the troopers against the Inquisitors.
Your path is set, Morgan Elsbeth. I will fulfill my destiny.
Mercy only breeds defeat. But I will help you overcome this weakness. Attack!
We then cut to Morgan Elsbeth fighting the separatist droids using two sickles. We then see a HMP droid gunship blow up a building, and we see Elsbeth emerging from the fire full of hate, holding the Beskar spear that we saw back in Season 2 of The Mandalorian. The Grand Inquisitor makes an entrance dressed in his Inquisitor armor, indicating that some time has passed since Barriss was freed. The Inquisitor shows Barriss a collection of lightsabers from the Fallen Jedi, and it's very likely the same collection that we also see on display in the Kenobi show in the Fortress Inquisitorius. The Grand Inquisitor hands her a lightsaber with a green blade, which is interesting considering that her master Luminara also had a green blade. although judging by the hilt, this is in fact not the lightsaber belonging to her master, who, as we learn in Rebels, perished in the early days of the Empire. Barriss gets handedly beaten by the Grand Inquisitor, and we see blood dripping from her nose, which is interesting as these shows often shy away from showing such things, perhaps letting us know that Tales of the Empire will be taking a far darker and more serious tone.
You said the Empire would help to change things.
Everything comes at a cost. My world has been burning since I was a child. You cannot stop what has begun.
We see gunships fly over the military headquarters on Coruscant, and we then get to see a rather familiar scene. The scene takes place on the planet Corvus and is the same exact location Ahsoka dueled the Magistrate in The Mandalorian. We can even see some of the HK droids that made a live action appearance here as well. On the other side, we see a group of people dressed in New Republic uniforms, which is quite interesting. What might be happening here is that Corvus was initially under New Republic control, but perhaps its inhabitants became disillusioned with the government, which allowed Morgan to enter the scene. And on the left here is another familiar face, as this is the same old man that we saw in The Mandalorian, and this is Governor Wing. So perhaps the New Republic are here to contest Morgan's rule, but they all end up getting killed instead. We then get to see a scene with Morgan dueling against Grievous, and notice that her sickles are glowing with turquoise fire, something which we also saw back in the Ahsoka show. And it is quite cool to think that Grievous not only dueled with Asajj, as we saw in the Clone Wars, but at some point in the battle also dueled with Morgan Elsbeth. We see some super battle droids and the fourth sister igniting her lightsaber. We then get to see what is perhaps Barriss running towards the fourth sister, who is dueling with a blue-bladed Jedi. And I'm not entirely sure as to who this Jedi could be, but it might very well be a new Jedi that we have never seen before. We then see a bright explosion, and if we really slow down the footage, we can actually see a figure in white standing there, which means that this might be someone who is really powerful in the Force, but it's a rather big mystery as to who this might be, as the nightsister magic tends to be green, so this white-colored explosion might suggest that it is someone else of a different nature. I do wonder if this individual is somehow related to the Mortis gods that we saw in the Clone Wars, as the manifestation of the Force powers tends to be quite different from most other depictions, so who knows as to what this really is.
Now you must face one final test. To join us. It is time you meet your new master.
We then see Barriss being forced to fight another Inquisitor Initiate, and I think it's pretty easy to guess who wins the fight. We see Vader make an entrance, and you can bet that things are going to be slightly awkward as Vader meets the person who almost got his Padawan executed and someone Anakin previously dueled. We see Barriss bow before her new Dark Lord, and in the back we can see Inquisitor Marek from Ahsoka and the unnamed Inquisitor from Ahsoka's story in the Tales of the Jedi. It will be interesting to see if Barriss will be able to figure out if Vader was formerly Anakin. So that's all for the breakdown for the Tales of the Empire trailer, and what a show this is going to be. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next one. As always, be sure to like and subscribe. I am the Lost Acolyte,
and I have spoken.